Alright, this is lesson 3, converting units of measure. The goal today is to convert common units of measure using conversion factors, okay? So, the point of this lesson, we use this a lot. Let's say you're cooking something and it says, you go online, you're like, I want to make this cake, and it says use, 15 ounces of oil, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't know how to measure ounces. Well, you could go and learn how to convert with using this lesson. Using conversion factors. So you might say, oh, I could use the cups. So 15 ounces is so many cups, and we'll talk about that. Or a little less than 2 cups, I think, yeah. So these are the steps for today. So you have those written down. If you're on the video, pause it now. I'm going to move on right now. Okay, you'll need to write down some common conversions. So I want you to write this down, please. These are, write down what each of these mean and what they're equal to. You need these. You also need to write these down. These are customary units of measure for the U.S. We know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. 1 yard is 3 feet. 1 mile could either be 1,760 yards or 5,280 feet. So these are important numbers. Or, sorry, the last one. This next page is for, oops, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back. I guess that's it? No? Okay. Alright, so watch me do numbers 1 and 2, and then we'll move forward, okay? Sorry, I'm jumping around here a little bit. Okay. So, number 1, pencils down, eyes up here, and then you're going to write this down, okay? So, number 1, the average student is 15 years old at San Dimas High School. What is this age in months, okay? So, first thing I do is write down 15 years. And put 15y. That way I know that's the label, 15 years. Then I have to think about what's the conversion factor. Well, I'm starting with years and I want to end with months, okay? So I have to figure out in 1 year, how many months are there in 1 year? So I'd look at that, my notes, and I know that in 1 year there are how many months, class? 12 months. So I'm going to put 12 months. I'm making a conversion factor. It looks like a fraction, okay? So that I know that in my denominator in 1 year, because I started with years, I want to have years in my denominator, okay? In 1 year, I have 12 months, okay? And that's where I want to end off with. So that's the conversion factor. So I'm going to multiply 15 years with 12 months, and when I do that, I could make 15 years a fraction by putting a 1 under it, okay? And then I multiply. We got 15y times 12 months. So just like I would do a multiplication problem before, I could cancel out years with years, okay? And then we got 15 times 12, so we got to go do a side problem. Okay, so 15 times 12, and we get the following. And we get 180, okay? So that means a 15-year-old student is 180, and the only label that's left is months, so I'm going to write down months at the end, okay? So a 15-year-old student is 180 months old, okay? And since it's a word problem, we need to write a complete sentence answer. It says, what is the age in months? I would write the age is, can someone open the door? The age is 18, or 180 months, period. Capitalize the first letter, period at the second at the end, okay? Alright, so that's how you do number 1. Okay. Number 2, watch me do it again. A person's age is 94,608,000 seconds. How old is this person in days? Oh my gosh, that's a lot, right? Not too bad if we think about it. I'm going to start off with the original problem. So this one's a little harder. It takes a few steps. So 94,608,000 seconds, okay? So I need to figure out how do we get from seconds to days, okay? So if this is seconds, I need to find a conversion factor. So seconds were up top, so I want to put seconds in my denominator. So I know there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, okay? And since I have minutes again, I'm going to put them on the denominator. We have, in 60 minutes, we have 1 hour. And in one day, we have 24 hours, right? We want to end off in days, okay? So those are my labels. Now, it looks like a lot of work here, but we could work this out. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make the original a fraction, the original number fraction. And we could cross out terms that could cancel between numerators and denominators. So seconds cross out, minutes cross out, hours cross out, and we're left with days here. Okay, so the numerator we can multiply across. So we have 94,608,000 times 1 times 1 times 1. So in my numerator I got 94,608,000. And we're left with days, okay? And the denominator now, we have to multiply 60 times 60 times 24. Now, that's a pretty big problem, so I don't mind. And I'm going to multiply across. We got 60 times 24. In our denominator, we got 86,400. And there isn't any label. And then I just do this big problem. I got 94,608,000. What's this line in the middle mean? Addition, subtraction, multiply, or divide? Divide. So then I'm going to go in my calculator again, and I'm just going to divide. I'm going to start with 94,608,000 divided by 86,400, and we get 1,095, and that's in days. Okay. So this person is 1,095 days. How old is this person about then? 3 years old, right? Right? It seems like a lot of days, but there's 365 days each year. So it's like a little baby, right? A little toddler. All right? And of course, we end off our problem with a complete sentence answer. The person is 1,095 days old. And that's it. Put a period at the end and we're all done. Box your answer if you want, but I just boxed. Any questions on this? Okay, so what I'd like you to do, ones are telling the twos about number 1 today, twos are telling ones about number 2. Ready, set, talk. Okay, so number 3, let's do this one together. Number 3, Mr. Rinkowitz is 31 years old. That's true. How many months old is Mr. Rinkowitz? Okay? So, what are we starting with? We're starting with what label? What? 31 what? Years. So we know we're starting off with years. And what do we have to end off with? What's the answer supposed to be in? Months. Okay, so doing this along with me, this is what I would do. You're copying what I'm doing on your whiteboard. So 31 years. So I'm going to put 31Y. Okay, and how do we get from years to months? Let's talk about years. We have years in our numerator. We have to put years in our denominator here. Okay, so in 1 year, how many months are there? 12 months, right? Good. Did we get to our last label? Are we at our goal in the label? Good. So let's put a times sign. And then the next one is we're going to multiply the original units with a conversion factor. Okay, so before we multiply, can we cancel anything out? Years, okay. Good. All right. How do we multiply fractions? Numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So what's 31 times 12? Okay, so show me your answers, okay? Ready, go. 72 months. And of course, what do we do? This is a word problem, so what does my answer have to have? What did I do at the last part of each problem? Turn to your neighbor, tell them a complete sentence answer. What would you write? Good. So Mr. Rinkowitz, or this person, is 372 months. Okay, let's read number 2 together out loud as a class. Ready and begin. Okay, good. So we had a football field. So let's do the first step. What are we starting with? What's the label we start with? 100 yards. Okay, so we're starting with yards. And what do we need to end off with? Inches. Okay, so do we know how many inches are in a yard? No, inches. Inches in a yard. No, that's in a foot.
26? 36?
Okay, 36. How'd you get 36? Good. So we know in 1 yard there are 36 inches, right? Okay, go. I want you to finish this one off by yourself. Go. I set up the problem. Always have labels. 3,600 inches. Okay. Good. And we'll put a complete sentence in after. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, this one's a little harder, right? Your house is 1 3/4 miles from school. Okay, 1 3/4 miles from school. So, and we want to know how many feet are you from school? Okay, so 1 3/4, how do we write that as a fraction? Like a mixed number. How do we write that? Or maybe we could write it as a decimal. Maybe you want to try it as a decimal? 1.75. Good. So we know if we're 1 3/4 miles, we're 1.75 miles. And we want to know how many feet are we from school. So we want to go from miles to feet. So in 1 mile, how many feet are there? Look at your notes. You took it earlier. Good. Nice and loud. One more time. Good. 5,280 feet, right? Okay. This one's a little bit bigger. Let's try to have you do this. Ready? Go. 9,240 feet. Okay. So remember, is this a big number? Okay, so it's important that you know how to do this by hand, but you also should know how to use your calculator, right? Couldn't you use the calculator app? Yeah, so you could click off that. Okay, so keep that handy, all right? So that concludes our lesson.